After 28 years, I'm finally realizing that I have been blind to many treatment differences between myself and my straight friends due to sexuality. I don't necessarily mean the bigoted comments from homophobes. I've always been aware of that. I mean specifically the way women treat me compared to how they treat straight men. I've always thought, well, I don't look or sound gay, so I'm going to be treated the same as everyone else. But in real time, I'm seeing that's not true. I've had the habit of blaming men for being mistreated at times, which, of course, they can be to blame, but there are many instances where they are simply straight. That's the only reason for the mistreatment. Just the other day, I was telling my department at work that we are getting an intern, and I mentioned that from meeting him, he seems like he will be a good addition. I'm the only man in my office. One of my colleagues asked if he was straight or gay. I said I would assume he's straight, but I didn't ask, obviously. Then I was asked if I thought he would be safe and if he seemed like he would be strange if he was left alone with them. One of them suggested I should go over harassment with him before he starts. Now, I would never fault someone for being cautious, and I'm sure they have valid reasons for being concerned. I just think it's notable that they haven't met him, and since we think he's straight, they are nervous to be around him. Story 1. There is a noticeable difference in my experience. In 2015, I transferred to a different department that was predominantly made up of women. While they were all nice and supportive as I learned my new role, they maintained a strictly professional relationship with me. Aside from sharing names and basic information, such as where they were from or which colleges they attended, they did not engage with me, assuming I was straight. However, when my boyfriend visited one day to pick me up for lunch and met them, the dynamics changed dramatically. Suddenly, I became their new best friend, specifically their new gay best friend. They began discussing their relationships and sex lives, along with topics like clothing, makeup, and gossip about celebrity and reality TV shows. Conversations I found completely uninteresting. It became quite overwhelming. Story 2. I am bisexual and have often worked in office environments mostly populated by women. I have found that if I play up my femininity a little bit, they are much nicer to me, even to the point of being more helpful professionally. Adding a little style to how I walk and talk has benefited me professionally, and that is frustrating. Story 3. This topic may be sensitive, so I will be cautious. If this is hurtful to anyone, I apologize in advance. I am a straight, married man, but for some reason, when I first encounter women, such as in a new job, they often assume I am gay. A disappointed Italian female colleague once remarked, "How come you French men look so gay? And you always catch us off guard by talking about your wife and kids?" I assume they think I am gay because I try to be as friendly and non-sexual as possible. As a result, I appear rather harmless and uninterested. Since it is clear from the start that I am not flirtatious or an assertive male, they assume I am gay. This is all very subjective and may not be the reason, but that is my perspective. Believing I am gay, they will confide in me more spontaneously, even if we have just met. Discuss men, whether sexually or not, in my presence. Be more natural. Be very helpful, encouraging, and empowering. On the other hand, when it is clear I am straight, either before I met my wife or when we meet as a couple, they assume I am not interested in their discussions and do not need their help or support. As a result, they may be slightly flirtatious, or on the contrary, very distant, signaling their lack of interest and leaving no room for interpretation. These observations are generalizations, and of course, each woman is different, with some being more extroverted or more guarded around men. It is much nicer when they assume I am gay. Story 4. As a straight man, I always assumed that gay men were treated that way because they weren't seen as a threat, in whatever context that applies. Additionally, typical gay culture suggests that gay men and women have more similar cultural interests than straight men and women. Story 5. One of them suggested I should discuss harassment with him before he starts. If I worked in a place that only provided harassment training to male new hires, I would consult a lawyer. Story 6. If straight women know that a man is gay, they will be more friendly toward him because their affectionate behavior won't be interpreted as flirtatious as it would be with a straight man. As a result, some women tend to be more considerate about how they act around straight men they are not attracted to, ensuring that the men do not get the wrong idea. There is no need to worry about that when interacting with a gay man. Story 7. One of them suggested I should discuss harassment with him before he starts. Many corporations have new employees complete a module on inappropriate workplace behavior before they begin. As the only woman in my branch, I had to do it as well. Now for some important questions. Are you a member of Human Resources? Is it your job to train new employees on workplace practices and enforce them? Are these women your supervisors? Are you being asked by someone higher up to provide extra training to an employee simply because of his gender? Or were there comments from other coworkers of equal status? I am concerned that they may knowingly be doing something illegal by treating him differently because of his gender, and they might be using you to cover for them. Story 8. I cannot comment on how straight men are treated. The women who say they want a gay best friend make me uncomfortable and make me feel like we are viewed as objects or accessories, not as individuals. Additionally, the women, particularly young teens, who fetishize us and same-sex male relationships also make me uncomfortable. This is not representative of all women, just a minority who behave this way. Story 9. My experience is that gay men tend to be treated as one of the girls. Women show them a level of affection and attention that is typically reserved for significant others and female friends. In contrast, friendships between men and women are usually more reserved. On average, women are much less affectionate and expressive, both physically and verbally, with straight male friends than with gay men and other women. Story 10. That is too much. Your coworkers are difficult. One of my best friends growing up was my clearly gay friend. Everyone knew he was gay a solid 12 years before he came out at 18. Even back in the 1990s and early 2000s, there was a stark difference in how we were treated. I had many female friends for a straight guy, and there were times he would be included while I was explicitly excluded by girls I was close with. Story 11. There seemed to be fewer sexist beliefs from women regarding gay men than about straight men. This might be because some women view gay men as similar to themselves, leading to the perception that certain sexist beliefs about men do not apply to them. However, this perspective may come at a cost, as it can result in the replacement of those beliefs with homophobic attitudes towards gay men. Story 12. From my observations, women tend to see straight men as potential threats and gay men as allies. However, this perception may change if a straight man meets certain criteria. 1. He must be attractive, and 2. He must not be unattractive. Story 13. Straight men are often seen as potential predators and threats. Gay men are perceived similarly to women. Bisexual men are regarded as gay men. Story 14. I think women trust gay men more. It takes time for women to get to know me better before they want to hang out. There are also topics they will never discuss in front of me. It still depends on the individual. When I graduated from college and still looked like a skinny geek, most women considered me harmless and became friends with me quickly. As I got older and gained weight, new people tended to be more wary. I understand this. Most women I know have experienced some form of harassment from men at some point. While I have not faced anything too negative, I understand why many hold back. Story 15. I'm surprised you haven't noticed this before. You said you aren't usually assumed to be gay automatically, and I feel the same way. Women can be cold or sometimes even rude to me initially. I just continue to be myself, and if I mention I'm gay, their treatment of me changes drastically in less than 2 seconds. All of a sudden, my simple existence is no longer seen as creepy or irritating. It's especially challenging because I'm on the shorter side, and some women often belittle me about this characteristic that I cannot control. Story 16. You can see their guard come down immediately. They want to have a normal friendship with a man, and they know you are not going to try to use that friendship to sleep with them in the future. Story 17. I am a straight man, but I cannot say I have ever felt left out or disrespected, whether in the office or elsewhere. Every woman I encounter appears to be chatty, especially if she responds to a greeting first. Story 18. I'm a gay man, and I found that women often seem noticeably more relaxed around me when they learn that I'm gay. Some women have mentioned that they knew I was gay from the moment I started speaking, and their comfort level was certainly obvious throughout our conversation. Story 19. Many women, in my experience, often express support for gay men until they meet an actual gay or bisexual man, at which point latent homophobia can emerge. Story 20. I am much younger, and maybe it's the nature of people in my age group, but it seems that girls and women have always shared a lot of personal information with me, whether I ask about it or not. In high school, I always wondered what I could do to encourage girls to discuss their personal issues with me, and it seems that many assumed I was gay or questioned it. I never really gave them a straight answer. Either way, it seems there has always been a degree of comfort between us. Now that I'm in college, it's more or less the same. I lean more into being flamboyant and purposefully so. I have had 2 transgender boyfriends since starting college, so there is that. At this point, it's more explicit that I'm at least part of the LGBTQ+ community. I don't really label myself as one thing or another. Bottom line, girls and younger women my age are very friendly towards me and tend to get a bit more personal. Maybe that's because we're friendly, but I'm not sure. I sense that the way they treat me is different. Story 21. Yes, eventually, my coworkers get to know me better and find out about my boyfriend in conversation. It's not like I'm hiding anything. Afterwards, there is a definite shift in how women treat me, for the better. The flip side to this is that in many workplaces, men treat you differently, whether consciously or unconsciously. I mean, it's work. I'm happily partnered and not interested in dating. I prefer going out for darts and drinks instead of attending a wine and knitting event. Story 22. I have noticed many differences. Often, women feel more comfortable around gay men because they are not romantically interested in them, with some expectation that gay men will support them in office politics. However, I am not sure that's always the case. I have also seen homophobic women outright ignore or patronize gay men, which is always reported to human resources. Nevertheless, around straight men, I have noticed that women are either reserved or willing to engage in playful conversation if they have already established boundaries, such as being engaged or married. I wouldn't say they are worried about the presence of straight men, but rather that others might misinterpret the situation. Story 23. Let's be honest. More often than not, when a straight man is friendly with another woman, the context and subtle implication is an opportunity for sex or romance. You can ask men if they had the opportunity to sleep with their female friends, and the resounding consensus would be yes. With that said, I do not blame women for simply keeping their guard up because in life you can't rely on exceptions. Beyond that, the way women interact with gay and bisexual men can be problematic. Just because there are many lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender men who like to be the gay best friend and are feminine does not mean every gay or bisexual man is interested in that dynamic or wants to engage in feminine activities. This perception is usually rooted in media portrayals and reinforces stereotypes about many gay and bisexual men. I believe the best approach is for individuals, particularly women in this case, to take their time getting to know gay and bisexual men and to better assess their values, friendship expectations, and interests. Story 24. That is a chilling story of female bias. They instantly treated him with disdain and suspicion without knowing anything about him yet. This is why men often avoid working with women, if possible. Many female coworkers tend to shift their workload onto their male counterparts when tasks become challenging. They label this collaboration, but it can feel more like asking a man to do it, under the belief that they shouldn't engage in hard work. Straight women often express disdain for straight men, and this sentiment is not hidden. They frequently fail to differentiate between good and bad men. If one man breaks their heart, it can lead to lasting resentment towards all men. Additionally, if you want to witness homophobic reactions, try rejecting a woman or having a straight friend do it while recording the reaction. The first thing they may do is accuse you of being derogatory names. Those seemingly nice women at work may also harbor negative feelings toward you. They may not show fear, but they often speak ill of you behind your back. Story 25. Not original points, but summarizing what I've seen, read about, and heard from the experiences of others. Gay men are treated like exotic pets or accessories. They are often assumed to be feminine and placed in a box labeled girls and gays. They are seen as not fully masculine. This is patronizing, stereotypical, and a subtler form of homophobia. Misogyny from gay men, which is often ignored, should be acknowledged. Bisexual men are often perceived as non-existent and categorized as gay. Masculine gay men are also dismissed, as are transgender men. Cisgender heterosexual men who are comfortable with femininity or who have many female friends are often labeled as unusual or closeted. Story 26. I'm not sure about any statistics, but I've definitely heard from many women that a good majority of them have some sort of uncomfortable encounter with men at some point in their lives. I can imagine that with a gay man, that fear is far less. Just a thought. Story 27. If straight men can't get jobs due to things they have never done or would ever do, then the dating pool will become non-existent. These are the same men that women want to provide for them one day to raise a family, which these men cannot do if we make the wrongful assumption that all straight men are unsafe. The not in my backyard approach to employment is impacting nearly all professional workplaces, and it needs to end. Story 28. You can easily identify the prostitutes in Las Vegas as a male because they are the only women on the street who make eye contact and smile. Friendly interactions with women stand out significantly when they occur. Story 29. I have mixed feelings about how women act around gay men. On one hand, it's great to see them feeling comfortable, almost like they see them as one of the girls. However, they can also be disrespectful, treating them as if they are not still men or as if they are incapable of causing harm or having boundaries. Often, they exist in a sort of androgynous space, being flirted with, touched, or harassed in ways similar to how they might treat straight men if they thought they could get away with it. Story 30. Commenting as a woman here, but after reading several comment threads, the most obvious thing to me is that women naturally feel more comfortable and safer with gay or married men. You are not going to ask us out and then get upset when you don't like the answer or complain about being friend-zoned or being interested in us just because you might get sex out of it. You can be a friend without ulterior motives. The stereotypical notion of an instant gay best friend is taken too far, though. Boundaries, people. Story 31. Didn't you receive the message? Straight men are perceived as the source of all problems. Gay men are viewed as women born into a man's body. Story 32. As a straight man, I have found that mentioning your significant other frequently can help replicate this phenomenon. It allows women to relax around you, as they understand that you are not pursuing anyone romantically. Story 33. You've just opened your eyes. Here is the truth. We live in a society where misandry is not only accepted but the norm. Story 34. It depends on the individual. I have a gay friend you would never guess has a boyfriend. The only reason we treat him differently is because of his poor hygiene. Story 35. I believe females treat gay men nicer because they may think they are not a threat sexually, while treating straight men with suspicion of trying to pursue them. I have not experienced hostility from women, but I also do not feel particularly welcomed. Currently, as a delivery driver, I do not interact with many women, and most of the women I meet are married Islamic women like my wife, who are not permitted to shake hands with me. Story 36. I don't have any gay friends I hang out with regularly, so I never noticed anything. All I heard was girls referring to gay men they know as so cute. What is going on in America with the recent hostility towards men? It seems like things have become even weirder lately. I know the internet presents a biased picture, but is it really this extreme? Story 37. You are right. You probably are treated differently from straight men, and that is because you are different. The difference in treatment has an easy explanation. Women feel less tense in the presence of gay men than they do with straight men. First, friendship between gay men and straight women is common in a way that it is not with lesbians and straight men. Thus, to anyone saying that women view gay men as women, that is not the case. Women do not confide in gay men about childbirth and menstruation or other issues that are unique to womanhood. Women feel that when a gay man approaches them, it is out of genuine interest in their personalities rather than their bodies, which is a refreshing and perhaps flattering feeling for most straight women. Once the sexual attraction factor is removed, they feel less pressured and let their guards down. It is not just out of fear that straight men will harass them, but also due to the constant tension stemming from the underlying message that women should approach all interactions with straight men with caution, not only in a romantic or sexual sense, but in all contexts. Women are socialized to be fearful of ever offending, displeasing, or slightly bothering straight men, leading to concerns about aggressive responses. This does not happen with gay men. Let's be honest. That belief is not entirely irrational. If you look at statistics, you will find that the percentage of violent crimes against women committed by gay men is dramatically lower compared to straight men. Whether you consider the fear women have of straight men to be fair or not is a whole different discussion, but you cannot deny that there is no reason for it. Pretending everyone is the same does not make them the same. You are not seen as a threat by women simply because you are less likely to be one. If that bothers you, ask yourself why. Story 38. There is a significant difference in how women treat attractive straight men compared to average or unattractive straight men. Story 39. These days, men are often perceived as potential predators until they demonstrate trustworthiness. Single men are not allowed to adopt children. When a man is seen walking alone in a park to relax, he may be viewed with suspicion. If a man expresses interest in a woman who is not interested, he may be labeled inappropriate. As men, we often accept these realities as part of life, similar to how women deal with issues like catcalling, being taken less seriously, sexual objectification, and wage inequality. Double standards regarding gender are likely to persist. Story 40. As a straight male, I try not to give any signals of interest to female coworkers. I interact with those I am attracted to in the same way as anyone else. I learned long ago that I need to wait for signs that a woman is interested first. It is pointless to pursue women who are not interested. Story 41. If you are openly stereotypically gay, women typically do not perceive you as a threat because they do not see you as a man, although they may not express this openly. However, if you are a masculine gay man, you are viewed similarly to straight men. The rhetoric around men does not only impact straight men. It also influences masculine gay men, non-passing transgender women, passing transgender men, and assigned male at birth non-binary individuals. Story 42. My thinking is this: straight men are like cavemen. Gay men are more refined, representing a higher male standard. Women understand this distinction. Straight men often exhibit poor hygiene, immaturity, and emotional stuntedness. Women tolerate straight men primarily due to the biological drive to reproduce. Story 43. I think it's trendy for women to have friends from the LGBTQ+ community these days, so they tend to be nice to them for no reason. However, this is only true for women from very liberal countries. None of my exes ever had friends from the LGBTQ+ community. Story 44. I don't really blame women for being reserved toward me. I would likely be the same toward gay or bisexual men. It's important to remember that when interacting with people, there is a chance they may be interested in a sexual encounter. Naturally, one may be more defensive with them than with those of a sexual orientation that guarantees no interest in that way. I don't even have any gay or bisexual friends. Interestingly, I behave neutrally even with women I find attractive because I don't think they need to know how I feel about their looks. They might be lesbians, and in that case, they certainly don't need to know anything. However, I can't speak for other straight men, so I can't blame women for being more open with those they know will not pursue them sexually. Story 45. I try to treat everyone equally, regardless of sexual orientation. However, I can be more open and relaxed if I know you will not behave inappropriately towards me. The worst I would experience from a problematic gay man is the same disrespect I might encounter from a difficult woman, and that I can manage. Of course, not all straight men are the same, but there are enough that women have to adjust their approach if there is a chance a straight man could misinterpret general kindness as romantic interest. I feel this situation is exacerbated by the largely exaggerated conflict happening online between men and women, where both sides are being unpleasant to each other. Story 46. If I were to identify the most significant aspect of a woman's character, it would be vulnerability. Working women have already faced numerous challenges, while men, whose nature can be likened to that of playful puppies, pursue anything that catches their eye. Finding a man who is not focused on reproduction or transmitting infections is a breath of fresh air. Story 47. The reason you are treated differently is that they know you are not pretending to be their friend with the hidden intention of trying to manipulate them. Men can be particularly frustrating in this regard, often more so than women. I frequently encounter gay men who act as though they want training or diet advice, but they will change their behavior if they perceive an opportunity. The same goes for straight men with women. Some will behave as if they only want friendship, waiting for a breakup or another situation to take advantage of. Some women also exploit this dynamic by intentionally tempting men. This is why, in general, we are treated differently. In this specific situation, you are not seen as a risk for harassing female employees, whereas a straight man may be perceived that way. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.